I, 15 male, have lived with my current foster parents since I was 9 years old, but I've been in foster care since I was 6. I will call my foster parents Henry and Aaron. I got a new phone as an early Christmas present from my biological dad. It is an iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is the phone I wanted, so I'm very happy about it. My previous phone was an iPhone 11 and it was bought by Henry and Aaron. On my old phone, Henry and Aaron had set up loads of parental controls on it, so I couldn't download any apps without them approving it. I couldn't turn off share my location. I couldn't change my passcode. It would lock everything except their contacts at 8 p.m. every night until after school, and they had a time limit on YouTube, so I could only watch it for 30 minutes within the time where my phone was unlocked anyway, and I could only go on websites that they approved off. Like there was a list that I could go on and I couldn't go on anything that they didn't manually add to that list. These all really annoyed me, but whenever I asked for them to be turned off, they told me that they bought the phone and so these were the rules. Now I was given my new phone by my dad on Monday and I haven't used it yet because they're telling me that I have to let them put the same restrictions on the new phone as they did my old phone. I said no, because that isn't fair. I should be allowed to use my phone as my dad says because he paid for it. I said to them that my dad paid for the phone, so it was his choice and that he doesn't want me to have those restrictions on. But now they've changed and said it don't matter who bought the phone, even though that was their whole point before. Now they're saying that because I'm living with them I have to follow their rules, and the rule for having a phone in this house is that they put restrictions on it. I don't think that is fair at all, considering they didn't buy the phone. I don't see how they can do this. Before I got home from school on Monday, they took the phone out of the box my dad sent it in and set up all the restrictions, and now I'm trying to figure out a way to take them off. I am thinking about complaining to my social worker because it is not fair that they put these restrictions on my phone even though they didn't pay for it. ETA, I am not going to be on much longer because I'm almost out of my computer time. Thank you everyone for your advice. ETD2, it's 8 p.m. now, so I'm off. Thanks everyone for taking the time to talk with me. Commenter, who pays the cell phone bill? Oop, downvoted. There is no phone bill. My dad bought the phone. Edit. I don't know if people aren't understanding me. I have a SIM card that was bought from Tesco. It is a pay-as-you-go SIM. No one has ever added credit to it. There is no monthly bill. Commenter, sorry but you are wrong. You're hurting the people who raised you. If Biodad wanted to be in charge, he should have been the one to raise you. But he either couldn't or wouldn't, doesn't really matter. He should at the very least have more respect for your parents who stepped up. Biodad is being manipulative and showing a great deal of immaturity. I know that as a teen you are likely just wanting to side with the person who is offering you what you want. This is a mistake. This is one of those selfish, short-sighted decisions that teens don't see at the time, but regret later. If you respect your parents at all, you will respect their authority as your guardians. Oop, downvoted. I'm taking about people telling me I'm wrong saying there is a monthly fee to use my phone. I know there isn't. They're not my parents. I have parents. Commenter, why can't you be with your parents then? Why are you in foster care? You seem to have a disdain for the people fostering you. Why have you been in this situation for almost 10 years? Oop, downvoted. What are you talking about? Just because I have parents doesn't mean I can live with them. That doesn't make my Henry and Aaron my parents. Commenter, they might not be your parents, but they are your legal guardians, which gives them the right to make decisions around your phone use. Oop, that isn't what I'm talking about. I don't like people referring to them as my parents. They're not. Commenter, they're not your biological parents. They are your foster parents though, and quite frankly have been your parents longer than anyone else has. Oop, they are not my parents. That's the point of the post, not the point of this current conversation. This thread, that you are replying on, is simply me asking do not call Henry and Aaron my parents. I don't like it. I am also not going to say your carers are in the wrong based on the information you've provided. I am coming from the position that I previously was a foster carer as well as a worker within the law enforcement system. Your biological father is making a power play here. You may not see it because generally speaking, kids in care tend to see even the worst parents as being on a pedestal. For whatever reason, you've been in foster care for the majority of your life. A good portion of that time has been under the roof of your current carers. Whilst I appreciate that at 15 you think you should be able to do what you want on your phone, you need to understand that your carers are most likely just looking out for your best interests. Your biological father, for lack of a better term, is throwing in a grenade. In my opinion, he may be doing this for a few reasons. 1. To prove to himself or your caseworker that he is a good parent because deep down he knows he isn't. 2. To drive a wedge between you and your carers in exactly the way it appears to have. 3. Because he cares about you genuinely and thinks that getting you an extravagant gift will somehow make up for you being in care since you were 6 years old. Honestly, it could be a mixture of the above. Regardless though, he should have discussed such a gift with your caseworker and carers, if there is contact between him and them, to make sure it was okay, and so that he could discuss the rules surrounding usage of the phone with you. If you legitimately think that your carers are not doing what is in your best interests, then you should speak to your caseworker. Let them be the mediator, as they are basically in charge. There are possibly also things occurring in the background that you are unaware of. For example, the court or department in your jurisdiction that deals with children in care may want contact with your birth parents to only occur when they are aware of it. Your carers could simply be following rules that a court or your caseworker has outlined to them. If you think that they are on some level being reasonable because they care for you, then perhaps sit with them and discuss how at age 15 you should have more freedom. This could look like having the parental controls but with less restrictions, or it could be without the parental controls but with your carers able to look at your phone/messages/photos when they feel there is a need and without notice. They know the unlock code to the phone. At the end of the day, it is about trust. Show them that you can be trusted with more freedom, then they'll likely be more willing to become more lenient as you get older. Try to make sure that regardless of how the conversation goes with your carers, that you keep your cool. Good luck. Oop, downvoted. I'm allowed any contact with my biological family. It doesn't need to be monitored. I read their whole comment. That wasn't my only takeaway. I just wanted to correct something. People are viewing my parents as bad people who need to be monitored. That isn't true. I feel like people are misinterpreting my comment. I appreciate it. My reply wasn't dismissing it. I was simply responding to the part I felt was necessary. I wasn't upset or angry when I replied. I was simply correcting something. Update 1. So Henry and Aaron actually took me to McDonald's after school today, the day I am writing this, and they said to me they could tell I was upset with them and asked me to explain my feelings to them. I explained how I felt really frustrated that they told me the parental controls were because they bought the phone, and then when my dad bought me a phone they still put the same restrictions. They said they were sorry they gave that impression and that they could have explained it better. They asked which were the restrictions I had the biggest issue with. I said how I can't text/call anyone unless they approve it, how the phone locks at 8 p.m, I can't use it, and that I only have a 30 minutes on YouTube or TikTok, and that I can't have apps like Snapchat, Discord, Instagram, etc. They said okay. They understood why I was upset and frustrated and said they will discuss with my social worker how they can lighten up the rules while still ensuring I am safe. They said they don't want me having a long time on the phone because they don't think it's good for me, but they said in the meantime they will increase the limit to 1 hour for each/TT, and that they will increase the bedtime until 9:30 p.m. I think this is a fair compromise. I said they seemed upset that I got a new phone in general, and they said they weren't upset at me but were upset at the situation. I asked what they meant, and they said that it was something between them and my dad and I didn't need to worry about it. But I asked them to carry on, and I had to kind of persuade them to tell me. They had actually bought an iPhone 16 Pro Max for Christmas for me and had told my parents and my social worker that they had bought it and were going to give it me for Christmas. But my dad bought one before they could give me theirs, and they felt upset that their big present had been ruined. But they said that wasn't my fault, and they didn't mean to make me feel like they didn't care about what my dad got me. Honestly, that made me feel upset. I asked my dad why he bought me the phone if he knew that Henry and Aaron already did. He said he didn't want Henry and Aaron to have to give me something so expensive. But I said they had already bought it for me and he knew that. I said that was unfair and that he shouldn't have done that. He called me ungrateful. I asked him how he would have felt if it was the other way around, and he left me on read skeptical. I actually feel really upset for Henry and Aaron that my dad did that to them, and I actually feel guilty even though I didn't know they had already bought me one. I'm not sure what to do now. I could give my phone back to my dad and have Henry and Aaron's, but if that's the right thing to do. Henry and Aaron said that it wasn't my fault and that it doesn't mean my dad is a bad person, which I know. But I do feel really angry at him. Commenter, your dad was in the wrong all the way around. What he did was selfish. He wanted your happiness and praise for doing this for you while he knew they had bought the phone for you. He stole the joy of the gift they were going to give you. There is no other way to look at it. Your dad acted very selfishly and it caused you trouble. He doesn't deserve the happiness and thanks you gave him, so you should return his phone and limit contact with him and tell him exactly why. He acted selfishly without regard for anyone else. That was immature for a parent. Update 2. I'm writing this from the school IT suite. I just wanted to share something. Firstly, it makes me really uncomfortable that people were sending me hate messages and sending death wishes to my dad. People were messaging me saying they wish he'd unalive himself or that Henry and Aaron should throw me out for being ungrateful to them. Sorry, but you people need help. It's not normal to treat people like that, and it's not normal to say things like that to people. People were accusing me of being blindly loyal to my dad, which simply isn't true. I've said so many times that my dad isn't a great person. That doesn't mean he's a sociopath or that he deserves to die. It's so crazy that I get downvoted for saying bruh calm down a bit please when I respond to people like that. Anyways, my dad is still ignoring me, which is making me really upset. I've sent him some messages just basically saying how's you? How was work? And stuff, and he's left me on read every day since last Thursday. So I've decided that I'm just going to leave it, and if he wants to talk with me again he can come to me. Henry and Aaron said they felt really bad because they said they shouldn't have told me about what my dad did. But I said I'm glad they did tell me. I decided that I would keep the phone my dad gave me and we'd return the phone that Henry and Aaron bought me, and we're going to use the money for a trip to Drayton Manor where we have the fast passes so we don't need to wait in any lines, and we're going to take my little brother also. He doesn't live with me and Henry and Aaron, which is going to be so much fun. I'm really excited for that. I just want to clarify some things. I am long-term matched with Henry and Aaron, which means I'm never going to be reunified with my biological parents, even if they became super parents with no flaws. I'm matched with Henry and Aaron, so I'm staying with them until I'm 18. This has been the case since I was 11-ish. There have never been plans for me to move back in with my parents because, to be honest, neither of them want me to. Sounds harsh, but it is true, and I like living with Henry and Aaron. Also, both my mom and my dad have children with other people now. We're still a family though. I just have a very big, very weird family. Now on to second story. Boyfriend accused me of not being serious about us after I refused his non-refundable Christmas visit to my potentially racist family. I, 19F, am from the United States and currently a second-year university student in the UK. My boyfriend, 23M, is British, recently finished his master's, and is now working. We've been dating for 10 months, and he's my first boyfriend. He's been nothing but understanding, kind, and supportive throughout our relationship. I've met his parents and siblings twice, and both times were wonderful. His mom even told him she thinks I'm the one. In late November, he asked if I'd like to spend Christmas with his family. He said everyone would love to have me there, and I thought it was sweet, but I declined. I've been feeling homesick and wanted to spend Christmas, a holiday that means a lot to me, with my family in South Dakota. When I told him, he seemed aloof for a few days. I went to his flat later to reassure him that I'd love to visit his family another time, but for me, Christmas is a family holiday. I now realize how that could have sounded dismissive. He looked hurt and asked, "Do you still love me? And aren't I your family?" I reassured him that I do love him, and things seemed fine after that. About a week later, he surprised me by showing me a flight he'd booked to South Dakota for Christmas. Flights to South Dakota are expensive, especially internationally, and while the gesture was touching, I thought it was impulsive and unwise. I told him it wasn't a good idea. For the first time, he got really upset, accusing me of not caring about him, not being serious about us, and thinking only of myself, all of which are untrue. I love him and value our relationship deeply. Knowing he was speaking out of hurt, I asked him to take a walk to cool off. When he returned, I explained that he means everything to me, but I wasn't ready for him to meet my family. To be honest, I'm nervous about how my family would react. I'm white, he's Arab, and my family in rural South Dakota is not exposed to diversity. They've made ignorant, racist comments in the past. While they'd likely be polite to his face, I fear they might say something offensive or jokingly inappropriate. They also assume Arab equals Muslim, even though he's Christian. This ignorance embarrasses me, and I don't want to put him in a situation where he might be hurt. I didn't tell him any of this, though. Instead, I said I felt it was too soon to bring someone home, as in my family, that's often a precursor to engagement, which is true. He asked if he wasn't good enough, and I reassured him that he's perfect. He then mentioned that the tickets were non-refundable. I started crying, apologizing for wasting his money and saying how much I wanted him there, just not right now. He asked me to leave and said he needed space. I flew back home nearly a week ago, and since then, we've only had brief phone conversations. He still texts me "I love you" and "good night," but he's clearly distant and hurt. I don't know if there's anything I can do to fix this or reassure him. So, Ida? Update 1. Yesterday, I decided to call him and try to fix things, since what I did was so wrong. I explained my family's issues with racism, he's Jordanian and I'm white, and how I was wanting to protect him and trying to handle my family's problems before he gets introduced. I acknowledged that I should have told him, and handled it poorly, but would be honest with him from now on. I also told him that I had a conversation with my family about my relationship, and told them any racist behavior from their end would be completely unacceptable. Initially, he was understanding of my situation. He said my family didn't change the way he felt or viewed me, he was glad I was honest, and he apologized for his reactions earlier. After a while, he said that after what happened, we should lay some ground rules for each person in our relationship. I thought it was going to be things like honesty, trust, consideration, etc. Instead, he literally gave me things I must do in order for this relationship to be successful. Firstly, he told me I couldn't make decisions about things without him first. He basically said that relationships require sacrifice and compromise, and with big things such as Christmas, vacations, etc., I would need him to be okay with me doing these things. He said it was childish of me to be in the habit of doing whatever I want. Secondly, he told me I should distance myself from my family. I actually understand his reasoning here, considering how some of them are racist and not great people. I told him it was complicated, because I still love them despite this, which might make me just as bad. Not sure, I can still see where he was coming from, so I told him that if they ever made a racist comment about anyone in front of me, I would try to educate, and if that didn't work, I would distance myself. He then said I was playing middleman, and that was unfair to him. He said in a few years when we get married, I would have to make the choice. He finally told me he wants my location on at all times, and wants me to go low contact with my male friends, most of which are gay anyways. I told him a lot of these rules seemed over the top, and in the most patronizing tone. He said, "You've never been in a relationship before and I'm older than you, so you should listen." The moment he said that, I thought it didn't sound like him at all. Most of the time he is the most easygoing and relaxed person, so I couldn't believe it. I told him I didn't appreciate being talked to like a child, and if he wanted to be someone's father, Then he should look for another person. He said that while he still forgave me for what I did earlier, my behavior was a testament to how immature I am. He then said we would continue this conversation another time and hung up, before we could even say goodbye. I feel like I partially caused this shift in his behavior by inadvertently making him insecure because of my refusal to let him come. Before this, he was honestly the last person I would ever consider getting insecure. He is very good looking, has a good career, and has always been confident, so I would never think he would act this way. It breaks my heart to know that I caused his actions, and want to know how I can convince him to let go of the rules so things can go back to the way they were? Or Ida for declining to follow the rules, and should I just follow them? Edit, I've been in this relationship for 10 months and really do love him. I told my friends the things he said and they've reiterated the points made here, but I guess it's hard for me to wrap my head around how he could go from such a good guy to this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but please be mindful that it's a lot more difficult for me to look at this objectively. Second edit, I appreciate everyone's comments and support. I have read every single comment and have thought about my relationship all afternoon. I cried when I realized I must end things. I will be calling/texting him tomorrow morning and breaking up. Update 2. I received great advice from a lot of people and it immensely helped me trying to evaluate our relationship. I texted my friends about the situation, and they also agreed he sounded overbearing. About an hour ago, I ended things for good. I texted him yesterday afternoon that I thought we should have a serious discussion about our relationship. He said we should wait until we have both cooled off from our conversations earlier, so I suggested tomorrow. He sent me his usual good night and I love you texts, which kinda broke me. His horrible behavior didn't erase 10 months of love that I feel for him, and it almost felt like betraying him saying the same things back when I knew what I was going to do in the morning. Here's kinda a summarized version of the call. It was over an hour, so I condensed it as much as I could and I tried to write it as quickly as the call ended so I wouldn't forget. Anyways, when I called him, he seemed very normal and calm. We talked for 10 minutes just about how things were going and stuff. Then I basically told him that I didn't want to do this, but I thought it would be best if we broke up. I said that we probably expected different things from our partners, and I couldn't do what he wanted from me. After I said that, he sat in silence for like a minute. I thought the call had dropped, but then he said he was processing what I said. He asked me if this was revenge for what he said 2 days ago, and I said no, just a realization of incompatibility. He then said he wasn't going to change his mind on his boundaries, and me giving him an ultimatum was manipulative. I told him that this wasn't an ultimatum, it was going to happen. He then kept repeating what the fuck, my name / and then told me I didn't mean it. He asked me if I loved him still, and I said yes, and then he said he knows I'll come back. I said this was it. He said something about how we need each other and went on a rant, but I don't remember that much of it because I was crying at that point. I cut him off at the end, and just said goodbye. He said he would never forgive me and I would never see him again since he was that awful and then hung up. I immediately blocked his number, WhatsApp, Snapchat and Insta. I do not think he will have another way of contacting me. I do not think he will seek me out or anything, so I'm not too worried about that. My university accommodation also has front desk security and you can't get in without a keycard. Thanks again everyone. Edit. His mom just texted me saying she was sad things ended the way they did, but she wishes me all the best. Minor update, one of his friends tried adding me on Snapchat for some reason. Don't know if it's him using his friend's account, his friend wants to know what happened, or a coincidence he added me right when this unfolded.